What would you see if you were lost between galaxies? You open your eyes, but there are no stars. No constellations. No planets. Not even the glowing band of the Milky Way stretching across the sky. In every direction, you see the same thing, almost perfect darkness. You have not simply left the solar system or traveled beyond the edge of our galaxy. You are now deep inside a cosmic void, approximately 50 million light-years from the nearest large galaxy. You are lost between galaxies. So what would you actually see? Is this enormous region truly empty? And could you ever find a way home? First, a sky without stars. We normally think of space as a black sky filled with stars. But almost every star visible from Earth belongs to the Milky Way. Once you travel far enough outside a galaxy, that familiar sky disappears. From a few million light-years away, an entire galaxy could still appear as a faint cloud of light. But from the center of a large cosmic void, the nearest major galaxy might be too faint for human eyes to detect. Its billions of stars would blend into one tiny, dim smudge, or disappear from naked eye view completely. Your eyes would slowly adjust to the darkness, but no new constellations would emerge. Individual stars would be much too distant. Extremely faint galaxies would still surround you, and a powerful telescope could reveal thousands of them. But without such equipment, the universe might appear almost completely empty. The darkness would be more complete than any night sky experienced on Earth. Second, would you see the cosmic background? Radiation exists even in the darkest parts of space. The entire universe is filled with the cosmic microwave background, the ancient afterglow of the hot early universe. It reaches us from every direction and has a temperature of approximately 2.7 Kelvin, or minus 270.45 degrees Celsius. But your eyes cannot detect microwave radiation. To see it, your spacecraft would need specialized instruments. They would reveal a weak glow surrounding you in every direction. Without those instruments, the oldest light in the universe would remain completely invisible. Visually, there would still be only darkness. Third, the void is not empty. Although intergalactic space looks empty, it contains matter. There are isolated particles of hydrogen and helium, traces of heavier elements, energetic radiation and enormous amounts of dark matter. Much of this normal gas is spread through the intergalactic medium. Some of it forms immense filaments connecting galaxies and galaxy clusters across the universe. These filaments are part of the cosmic web, the largest known structure in existence. Galaxies gather along its bright strands. Between them are gigantic voids where matter is far less concentrated. You would be floating inside one of these apparent gaps. There could be particles surrounding your spacecraft, but they would be separated by enormous distances compared with particles in the air on Earth. You could travel for an incredibly long time without striking anything larger than an atom or a tiny piece of dust. This is not absolute nothingness. But for a human being, it is as close to nothing as nature can create on such an enormous scale. Fourth, a million-degree paradox. The temperature of intergalactic space is more complicated than it appears. The background radiation is only 2.7 Kelvin. However, the thin gas between galaxies can reach temperatures of hundreds of thousands or even millions of Kelvin, approximately the same enormous values in degrees Celsius. That sounds as if your spacecraft should be destroyed by heat. But it would not feel like being inside a fire. Temperature describes the average energy of particles. It does not describe how many particles are present. A fire contains enormous numbers of fast-moving particles that continuously collide with your body and transfer energy. Intergalactic gas contains so few particles that even if each one carries a large amount of energy, collisions would be extremely rare. You could therefore be surrounded by gas with a temperature of 1 million degrees while your spacecraft continued losing heat through radiation. The gas would be extremely hot, yet almost incapable of warming you. Fifth, would anything ever pass nearby? Intergalactic space is not guaranteed to contain only gas. Gravitational interactions and galactic collisions can throw stars out of their home galaxies. Planets, stellar remnants and possibly black holes can also be ejected into intergalactic space. Entire clouds of gas may be stripped from galaxies and left floating between them. In principle, a lone star or rogue planet could exist somewhere inside the darkness. But intergalactic space is so vast that finding one by chance would be extraordinarily unlikely. Even if billions of isolated objects were scattered between galaxies, the distances separating them could still be enormous. You might continue traveling for millions or billions of years without passing close to a single star. Sixth, would you feel yourself moving? With no nearby objects, constant motion would be almost impossible to notice. You could be traveling at thousands of kilometers per second and still appear perfectly stationary. There would be no stars moving past the windows and no landscape providing a sense of speed. Inside the spacecraft, you could measure your movement using instruments. But simply looking outside would tell you almost nothing. There is also no natural up or down. Distant galaxies and concentrations of dark matter would still exert a tiny gravitational influence, but you would not feel a clear pull in any obvious direction. Your spacecraft would continue along its path through the void while the universe expanded around it. Seventh, what would kill you? If you were exposed directly to the vacuum, the immediate danger would not be freezing. There are too few particles to carry heat away from your body quickly. Instead, you would lose consciousness from a lack of oxygen, while the low pressure caused gases and exposed liquids in your body to expand. You would not explode, and you would not instantly turn into ice. Inside a functioning spacecraft, survival could continue much longer. But you would be completely dependent on a closed system. Every breath of oxygen, every drop of water and every unit of energy would have to be recycled or stored. There would be no nearby planet to land on, no star providing useful sunlight and no asteroid containing accessible resources. Radiation would slowly damage the spacecraft and its occupants, while mechanical systems would eventually begin to fail. The emptiness itself would not kill you immediately. It would simply provide absolutely nothing needed to keep you alive. 8th, could you reach another galaxy? Suppose the nearest large galaxy were 50 million light-years away. Even traveling at the speed of light, which a spacecraft with mass cannot reach, the journey would take 50 million years. At 10% of the speed of light, it would take at least 500 million years, ignoring acceleration, deceleration and the energy needed for the journey. A spacecraft traveling at a speed similar to Voyager 1 would require close to 1 trillion years. No human civilization could wait for a rescue signal. Any message sent at the speed of light would need tens of millions of years to arrive, and the answer would require the same amount of time to return. By the time a reply reached your original location, entire species could evolve and disappear. For every practical purpose, there would be no way home. 9th, the invisible structure of the universe. To your eyes, you would be surrounded by nothing. But if you could somehow see dark matter and a thin intergalactic gas, the view would be completely different. You would discover enormous filaments stretching across hundreds of millions of light-years. Galaxies would shine at the intersections, while gigantic dark voids separated one branch of the cosmic web from another. You would not be outside the universe or beyond its structure. You would be inside its almost invisible skeleton. But without the instruments needed to reveal it, none of that structure would be visible. There would be no stars to guide you, no destination within reach and no sign that you were moving at all. Only an endless darkness, and somewhere beyond it, galaxies whose light would take millions of years to find you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.